Welcome, in front of me is a HUAWEI P40, and today I'll go over an unboxing along with a brief overview of the device. So, getting straight to it, this is the box that it comes in. I already did set up the device, but this is going to be as close to an unboxing as you can get, at least from here. So, just set that to the side. So inside you have a phone, as you can see. Just set that to the side, cardboard. SIM eject tool, and one thing interesting in here is the inclusion of the rubber protection case. So let me just get rid of this booklet that I don't believe anybody cares about and get to the better stuff. So there we go. It's a fairly nice case, honestly. The same one comes for the P40 Pro, and then you have the 22-watt power brick for charging. It's a fast charger. Does the job. Headphones, Type-C, nothing really mind-blowing, really similar to like the Apple ones, the old Apple Buds. I'm not talking about the AirPods and stuff like that. Then you have the cable. Now, to get the best charge out of this phone, or at least the fastest one, you do want to use their cable. From what I've seen, if for instance it includes the super fast charging like the P40 Pro, I'm not sure if this one does include that as well. Based on the power brick, it does not, but just to keep in mind, if you have a phone that does support it, apart from this one, you can see on the cable itself, it's kind of coated in purple. Or not the cable, but the plastic inside of the USB port, and also on the Type-C, as you can hopefully see, it's like a purplish color in there. So with this cable you will get the fastest charge, and it does then like do the super fast charging. Without it, if you try some other cable, it will charge still fast, but it's not comparable to this. Oops, I just turned off the light, there we go. And then we just don't have anything else in here. So let's get that to the side. Also get this out of the doesn't really want to come off. There we go. So as you can see, this is the silver frost color, kind of already. Let me just wipe it on the pants so it looks a little bit cleaner like it's supposed to. There we go. So there's no fingerprints now, or at least minimal amount. So as you can see, this is the back of the device with the silver frost. And while we're already on the back of the device, you have the triple camera setup, as you can see. So basically it's a main pixel shooter, it's a 50 megapixel wide sensor. Then you have an 8 megapixel telephoto lens, and then 16 megapixel ultra wide lens. And when it comes down to recording, it actually is really good, which came to me as a surprise, but then it is also like kind of like the flagship. I mean, it's all kind of weird now considering that you have different tiers of flagships. But to get to it, you can record at 4K, 60 frames and 30 obviously, and then 1080p obviously at 60 as well and 30, and also it does record at super slow motion, so it records 720p footage at 960 frames. Now I do have to say that the Pro version of this phone does record at like 7,000 or something like that. It was something just insane, honestly. So here you don't really get that insanity factor of slow motion, but then personally I don't really see much use of it. It's a gimmick to probably more often sell the device rather than be used by the user itself. You'll probably use the cameras normally rather than try to record it with slow motion, because in all honesty the slow motion here is nothing, I would say, as polished as it is on the Samsung devices where you can continuously record. So I don't believe at 900, I know that on the Pro version at least, here I haven't tried, on the Pro version you could record slow motion at specific rate continuously. I'm just not sure to what point. So let's just quickly look. We have right now times 32, which I have no idea what that is. So it's 960 frames. You have to basically go in here to check, which is kind of meh. I mean, you have this basically slider and you check this speed. Oh, okay, there it is also. So you can see it 32 times, so it's 960 frames. And if I tap on it, so yeah, this is it basically needs to detect an object to start recording, which I personally am not the greatest fan of. It does remove the thing that when you're trying to capture something in a motion right away. But I believe if you go back to it and you slow it down a bit to probably like 8. Yep, and the 8 times 8 speed, it is continuous. So as a times 8, you will, let's see how that looks like. That was not very effective, I would say. So yeah, that's basically the camera there with its recordings. And like I was also saying, you can record at, where is it? There we go. Video. You can also record at 4K at 60 frames. There it is set to 4K. And if I go back to frame rate, it's set to 60. So you can get a really nice, smooth video, really high quality. So that's really nice, honestly. And now that we're on the front, I can go back to the front camera now. So main front camera, because there's kind of two, not really sure how to call it. Well, the main one is a camera and it's a 32 megapixel wide sensor, but I also have the infrared time of flight sensor for like the depth and stuff like that. And that doesn't really have pixel count. But also, I think that does surprise me, is the fact that you can record with the front as well at 4K at 60 frames, which does better than my Mate 20 Pro, which kind of, I feel like I'm scammed here. I mean, I am one gen behind, but still, it does suck when you have an older device and front cameras for like 2 gens further basically record better footage and a selfie camera than your entire back setup. Now, while we're also on the front, there's a display. So you have this Samsung-like hole punch cameras. That screen kind of goes around it instead of having the notch. Now, it's a fairly small one, honestly, but the device also isn't the biggest one, so it does sometimes look a little bit out of place. The position of it, I'm not sure, it's kind of meh to me. I'm not the greatest fan of it, honestly. I would probably rather have a single camera because I don't really use the selfie almost ever, so I would rather have the more real estate of the screen than this. But it's there and you can't really do anything about it. And while we're also on the screen itself, the resolution of the display is a 1080p by 2340 and it's a 6.1 inch display. And it is, I believe, an OLED display. I believe, I'm not actually sure, I forgot to actually check it, to be honest. But I think it is, based on the fact that it does have a always on display and doesn't seem like it's lighting up the sides. So that's kind of this OLED-like feature, I would say, or Super AMOLED. And if you're wondering, basically pixels per inch, it's 422, so fairly dense pixel count there. And the screen to body ratio, if anybody really cares about that anymore, I think the race is over. But for anybody who does, it's an 86.3%, so a decent one. Now, in person, I would say that the screen doesn't actually look that great, for instance, as a Pro version. The Pro version, because of the slightly wrapped display, the curved edges, it does have a way nicer view of the display. It looks, the bezels are way smaller because of it, and it just looks a little bit nicer, I would say. And also, you don't really have the rubbed or curved edges here. It's just a normal flat screen. And then what else is there left? The device comes with 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM with a Kirin 990, and the amount of RAM depends on also what storage you will have. So the 128 gigabyte version comes in both, so 6 gigabyte version and or I think it only comes with that one. It was something. Then you have the 250. Oh no, yeah, okay, I did write it down. So 128 comes with 6 and 8, and the 256 gigabyte version comes only in 8 gigabyte of storage. So yeah, now also while you can see the display, you probably can see that there is no Play Store, and that is, in my opinion, one of the major drawbacks, that you don't have the Play Store. You do have the app gallery right here, which you will need to okay, that I would say was super nice, that you have ads in a Play Store, or well, app gallery, which is basically the equivalent of it. I don't really respect that at all. Ads inside of a whatever, I'm not gonna get into it. So you can find some apps in there. Keep in mind, not every app will be ported. Not everybody wants to port their apps to App Gallery or support this, so you won't find all your apps that, for instance, you have bought. And also another thing, you will need to rebuy them. So any app that you have owned on your from the Play Store, you will have to rebuy it from here, or just deal with downloading cracked versions of it if that's your thing. Then moving on, oops, I just opened something, there we go. So moving on, I just take a look at the device itself. So on the front, as you can see, you have the camera and the sensor right there. On the left side, you just have an antenna band. On the right side of the phone, you have another antenna band, power key with a reddish coating on it, and a metal of the button, volume rockers. Bottom, you only have the Type-C and the SIM tray here, along with the speaker grill and microphone. You do not have a headphone jack anywhere on this device, that's why the headphones come with a Type-C. And on the top, you have another antenna bands, it looks like, and another microphone for the loudspeaker. And like I said, this is the silver frost color, but you have a plethora of other choices in colors, so you can choose something that will suit you better. And you also have the blush gold, deep sea blue, ice white, and black. I think there might be a couple more that I just couldn't find, but those are the ones that I know that do exist. If there was some photo that I did come across and it had even more, so it had like grayish one, so a little bit darker than this, an actual white looking one, and a pearl looking one. So yeah, so it looks like there's several more colors. And the last thing that I will go into is the case, so you can briefly get a look on how the device looks like in the case itself. So it does fit fairly well in it, and it also still keeps the nice appearance of the back. So if you really like how your back looks like, this device is basically as clear and non-obtrusive as I have ever encountered. So it does really show the design or color scheme of your device on the back. So if you really want to show off your whatever color you have picked up this device, the cases are basically designed for this. Now it isn't necessarily the thickest case, so I'm not sure how it will hold up to being dropped, but because of that, it also doesn't feel like you're holding a brick now in your hand, because the case does seem kind of minimal. So that will be the unboxing along with a brief overview of the device. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.